with no help at all. So you have to decide what the important memory events are to you, that you want to use your brain to carry out those memory events. And in my view, keeping a list of what you want to do during the day is actually a really good strategy for writing. When you write things down, it actually helps you receive and record the information. And in fact, you may find that if you make a list, you don't actually need to look at the list all the time, because it's turned into a way of receiving and recording the information that you can get out again. So don't worry about using strategies to improve your memory. Just learning how to use the strategies is making your memory better just from that, right? So what you're doing now, and I see lots of hands and I'll get you in a second, but what you're doing now is you're basically learning new things. You're learning to make lists. You're learning to use different strategies. You'll hear about one today. That is making your brain better with its memory. And it's the same as, asking, should I use a crutch when I have a broken leg? Well, there are times when you need that crutch. You're not going to get anywhere. It's going to make your broken leg worse if you step on it. So we all have strategies that we use to make things more efficient. Walking with a crutch or using lists when you're trying to remember things. And the act of using the strategy is just as powerful as actually remembering the information. So I saw a hand over here, and then there was one over there. Yeah.
I was going to throw one word in there, prioritize.
Prioritize.
Maybe 1, 2, or 3.
Exactly. And you need to prioritize what you want to do during the day if you have lots to do, so that you feel like you've done things that you need to do during the day. But you also have to prioritize what are the important things that you want to use your memory for, as opposed to making a list, right? Or what are the important things that, you know what, this is just the way my memory is, and I'm going to laugh it off, and I'm not going to worry about it. Because we're not going to be perfect, have perfect memories. So you have to develop a bit of a tolerance towards yourselves. Yes, sir?
Well, I've been playing duplicate bridge with a retired Air Force major who accused me of multitasking. If I improve my game, we would come first all the time.
Right.
Because he's used to multitasking, but flying old Auroras. And you were saying there's no such thing as multitasking.
In the truest sense, there isn't. It still comes out as your ability to flip back and forth between many simultaneous things are still going on in the world, and you have to be able to switch your attention quickly to get what needs to be done at each moment. But your focus of attention can't really, be all around all the time. I've got my focus of attention on you right now. I can maybe have some information kind of coming in from out there, but I can't pay attention to any of it if I want to talk to you. Right? So you have to attend to and carry out whatever procedures, actions, skills you've got in that moment, and then switch to the next thing. It's just how fast you can do that.
Yes.
I find I forget words when I'm talking about certain things. I live alone, and I'm wondering if that's got something to do with it, because, you can talk to the dog or yourself, but, it's not the same as...
Right, so the comment was, I find I forget words when I'm trying to talk to people, and she's speculating that part of the problem is that she lives alone, so she doesn't actually talk to people frequently during the day, and so when you get together with friends, the words don't come as easily, and that's probably as good an explanation as anything else, right? The retrieval of information takes practice. And retrieving names takes practice. Retrieving words takes practice. And the older we get, probably the more, it doesn't hurt to get more and more practice, right? There's a great deal of literature on the idea that cognitive engagement helps slow down the aging process in terms of the risk of dementia. So they've done big population studies where they've looked at who develops dementia over time, and they've measured their activities during the day. They've looked at physical activity and they've looked at cognitive engagement activities, and they find both of those things, the more activities, the more physical, the more cognitive, the slower the lower the risk of developing cognitive problems, dementia later. So that practice makes perfect. You gotta use it or lose it. And coming here and learning new things is a perfect example of cognitive engagement.
What about forgetting events that you've attended or social engagements that you've been there and somebody has talked about it and you have a blank slate of the whole, that you were even there?
So the question is, what about forgetting events that you've attended that other people will remember and talk about, but you feel a little like it's blank? So can I just ask for a show of hands, how many have had that experience?
Well, it depends how long ago the event was.
Right, that's true. But you see there were a number of people that raised their hands. So the brain takes in a lot of information, and there's something called interference. So if you take in a lot of information, we know that that can interfere with retrieving older information, depending on how related it is. It could be that these events were similar to other events. So in our memory line, things that are more unique stand out more easily than things that are sort of the same. So when you go grocery shopping and you park your car in the same parking lot, you do it weekly, sometimes it's hard to remember where your car was parked because you did it every week, and what happens is sort of the same each time. It may be a different parking spot, but there's nothing really unique unless you happen to park next to this really super neat red Mustang, and it kind of, woke you up about, oh, this is really cool. So when it's not very unique, that's another reason why you might not remember it as easily.
Also, when you have to translate from one language to another. I was
Translating.
raised French when I have to think in English. but-
Right. So translating when something is happening in one language but you're trying to retrieve in another language, the network isn't as easy. That's right, because your cues are different, right? You're not thinking in the same mode that you were when you remembered it.
Do you know, I heard that having more than one language is an attribute to maintaining the memory. It really keeps it stimulated.
The comment was having more than one language helps keep your brain stimulated, and there is research on that, suggesting that people who are bilingual actually have more cognitive efficiency. And the thing that really stands out for bilingual people is that they're good at switching back and forth, which is all, a lot of what we've been just talking about, right? Because they have to switch back and forth between different languages.
But
Yeah.
if you're bored with what's happening, or if you're disinterested in the information, I think that you will just not retain.
Well, that's kind of like setting the intention, like somebody mentioned earlier, in terms of to remember something, right?
You'll only want, like, what's interesting to you, or what you want to retain. The rest is just
Right.
boring, or, or
Right.
whatever.
That's a good point, Pat. So the comment was, if you're bored with the information, or you're not having much fun at the party, or it's an event that doesn't really, get you excited, then you might not as easily, retrieve it later, because it really wasn't very unique. It didn't have a lot of interesting things for you to remember later, right? As we get older, we've had a long timeline. We've had a lot of things happen. So the more unique they are, probably, the more you're gonna remember them. Okay, one more question, and then I think we wanna leave time for some practice. Yeah.
I had a crisis shortly after our last meeting, and we're still sorting it out. But I am amazed, I forgot nothing, except my usual names, but these people I know, I didn't look at my calendar, the things they asked me to do as follow-up, I've done it all, and I thought, holy hell, what happened?
Okay, so that's a really interesting observation. So what she said was, after our last session, she had a crisis that she had to manage. And she found that she operated very efficiently and didn't forget anything during that crisis. So you can, what she's basically done is gone into high gear, right? She's focused, she's paying attention. A very wise person once said, when you have a problem, when you have a really bad problem, you only have one, right? When everything is fine, you have lots of little ones, lots of little problems. But when you're in a crisis, you have one problem. You focused on it, you're dealing with it, and it's easier to remember things. Not that I want you all to go out and get crises. You know? Okay. So strategy. So we talked a little bit about, I heard about lists. I heard about mentally saying to myself, I'm going to focus. Any other quick comments about other strategies that people have used?
I've used the location one.
Used a location.
I found that very good.
Right.
Like when there's a number of things that I want to do in the day, and it's like this, then it's like to stop and think, okay, I'm going to go here first, and then this, and this, and this, and this.
You're using the memory path. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one.
Use that.
Take a picture with your phone.
Take a picture with your phone. I do that all the time now. Now my biggest problem is I can't find the pictures because I have so many of them. But that's another issue. Okay. So, did you want this?